Hello, everybody, and welcome to Alternative Interactions. I'm Gary. Today, I'm going to be talking about digital IDs, mostly from a UK perspective. But I'm sure I just saw in the news feed, was it Switzerland or Sweden? I can't remember which one. Has just voted in digital IDs, and yeah, I'm sure they all did. Apparently, it was a narrow majority, which is again, I've talked about democracy before. But we all know, or should know by now, that the person doing the counting actually controls the vote. And I'm pretty sure that was a no vote, and it's been changed. So yeah, that's just an interesting little side note. But fundamentally, I'm going to be talking about the UK. I know Canada has now been dragged into this, which is it's totally expected because I've already done the show on Mark Carney. If you want to go back into my my previous sort of back catalogue, you will see the Mark Carney video I did, and don't hold anything back on that one particularly. And it all links in. It all links into exactly what we'd expect to be seeing. Quite frankly, it's all part of the WEF control mechanism, the World Economic Forum. It's lockstep, the Rockefeller paper. It's all there. Everything's there. We've known this for some time. So this digital ID stuff, it's not a shock, is it? Come on, let's be fair. And again, I'm. This is an observation. There's no fear because I'm actually certain that this is not going to affect me, and it's not going to affect those that stand up to it. This is kind of that split point, the choice. You got a choice, and you do have a choice. Whatever a government says, and remember, the government works for us. We don't work for the government. I know that's a radical concept, isn't it? The government works for us, and we don't work for it. I think that's been lost. That particular point has been lost for some years now in the UK for certain, and I'm sure it has everywhere else. But we have a choice, and we do have a choice, just like we did with COVID. We have a choice. Now, I've got a few notes just so that I cover all the things that I want to cover in this, because I'm likely to go on the tangent and ramble, which is, me. But I think it's bullshit. You know, in fact, it's a bit of a joke. Now, you're going to go, oh, how can you say that? But really, I'm laughing at it. And when you laugh at something, because again, I observe, I don't absorb, do I? It's just like, well, okay, then whatever you want to do, it's fine. Because I actually have some solutions to stopping this affecting you. I actually have solutions. If you want to buy into it, I have solutions. I'm not sure many other channels have solutions for this, but I do. I wonder if I'll get a shadow banned even more for that one. So, the UK government used the word mandatory again. You know, Starmerville, as I like to call him. Um, I'll try and find the clip, which is very interesting, of Mr. Starmer. And this is on public record, so I'm going to say it. Um, Again, going to help me not getting banned, is it? But I don't care. It's what it is, isn't it? It's very interesting that some years ago when Boris Johnson was the Prime Minister, he made an accusation in Parliament about Mr. Starmer and Mr. Savile. It's worth looking that one up. If I can find it, I know I've had it, I've got it somewhere in my I've shared it a while ago, but if I can find that, I will drop that in my Telegram group as well under the bottom. It's very interesting what he says. Anyway, I digress. But I think we know where we're standing with Mr. Starmer, don't we? Or Starmerville, vile, as in vile. Um, so mandatory. Told you I needed notes because I was going to go off piece, didn't I? Mandatory. It's by consent. Legal definition is by consent. If you consent to it, then you accept the rule or the request. It's a request. Well, I didn't accept the request during the pandemic. I don't expect, I'm not taking any request now. I'm sovereign. I don't need to ask anybody. Don't need permission of anybody to ask if or give myself the sovereignty. I am sovereign. Don't need to go to anybody to ask permission to be sovereign. I'm certainly not going to any court to get any paperwork to ask permission to confirm that I am actually a debt slave or some kind of slave to their system. I'm just saying no, jog on. Within my power, and that's what I'm doing. Simple as that, isn't it? It really is as simple as that. Jog on. You know, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. It's how it is. Now, there's a lot of fear around this, and obviously, fear produces loosh, and loosh is fed on. At the moment, I think we've just gone through the split timelines, um, and there is crossover. There was always going to be some crossover, and there'll be crossover some period of time. And obviously, certain people are trying to desperately create imbalance and unharmony to bring down our energetic frequencies so that they can try and cling on to us for a little bit longer. Well, as you can say, by me, it don't happen. That's, yeah, okay, whatever you think, whatever you say. But the beast is dead. The beast is no more. And whatever they do, however much they jump up and down, and I'll get into this in a little while, there's nothing they can do about it. You know, I'm not only going to be talking, what my views are and going into some of the players and the characters and some of the potential scenarios. I'm also going to be, saying how we can step out of this completely, and we can. So, the government of the UK has used the border as an excuse and immigration. This is a government created issue. The fact that we have had open borders deliberately for many years now on illegal immigration, you know, it could be stopped overnight, and the government has chosen not to. And we must also remember that Starmerville promised to stop the boats coming in as part of his election process, and he's actually not done a damn thing. I wonder at what point that doesn't constitute treason. I wonder at what point. I wonder at what point the army is actually going to get off their butts and do something about this. Or is the army happy to go into digital ID, and are the army happy to become controlled mechanisms fully, even more so than they are now? Just asking the question. Because while we're on the government created issue, we also have the government created stick, using the big stick to beat us. Now, I've spoken many times about, if you took this slave analogy of the master in the big house, so that'd be the government, and then you have the controllers of that, which would be the police, stroke the courts, you know. So the manager for the big house would be the court. And they'd discipline the slave, so they'd have their enforcers who would discipline the slave, and then they would decide on what punishment would happen. It's just the same. It's no different today, you know. It's no different. The only thing that happened was the chains were taken off us physically, and they were put up here mentally and via debt, via money, because money's one of the big things they're using, isn't it? That's the big stick at the moment. Money, 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 money. Yeah. So anyway, they're saying, the government in the UK are saying that you can't work if you don't have an ID. Okay, big deal. They're saying you won't be able to get credit in banks. You won't be able to access your bank account. Probably won't be able to get on the internet. You won't be able to go on holiday. You won't be able to travel. Could affect your driving license. Housing, your right to rent, and any government benefits that you get, you know, benefits from the government, and your pensions. Now, that all sounds like quite a big, oh my God, they're going to do everything to us, right? Well, here's one of the solutions. We have something called the ECHR. It's the European Commission of Human Rights. And we were signed into that in 1950, and in 1953 that became law. So the UK was fundamentally signed into Europe in the 1950s by Winston Churchill and a couple other dubious characters. Let's put it that way. And I'm probably going to do a part two to this where we're going to go into a little bit of the history of how we got here. Because again, it's always interesting to know how we got here, what the players were. Same old faces, always the same old faces, same old families, same old connections, you know. So anyway, we have something called European Commission on Human Rights. It's our human rights. Okay. Now, if you understand what human means in law, you'll know that it's a complete fallacy and they actually have no rights. But if we play the game that we have the perception of human rights under the European Commission's law that was signed in 1950 and became active in 1953, that usurped some of our other rights that we had, which were probably much stronger previously, far stronger, in fact. It's amazing what a World War II will do, isn't it? Just to give that little nudge and change the ability to change. Oh no, you want it like this now to protect yourselves. Yeah. Okay. So you know we're playing the game here. The ECHR prevents all what I said because they're breaking your human rights. If you own a passport, the passport actually states that you have, you know, the ability to travel freely without hindrance. It's on the inside of the passport. I haven't got a passport. Mine's out of date, so you know. But for those that do have a passport, it's what it states very clearly. It's a legal contract with the king. It used to be with the Queen. Mine was with the Queen. It's the last passport I had. But it's a legal contract. Something that people forgot during COVID. But it's as valid as anything. And under the ECHR, the rights to freedom, movement, housing, homes, family life, all that stuff comes under it. Okay? I think it's Article 4 from memory. Really interesting. So when they sit there and they start talking about you won't be able to access your bank account, you won't be able to travel, you won't be able to have access to government systems, or anything else, they're breaking the law. They're breaking the law. So at what point are we going to get a judge or a barrister, or at what point will somebody work out this is happening and take them to court and put an injunction on them? Because quite frankly, what they're doing is coercion and threatening, which breaks the ECHR. They're already in breach of it. Just saying. You know, you'd think a journalist would be sat there saying, well, aren't you breaking the ECHR by saying all this? Isn't this a threat? Isn't this a removal of our alienable rights, human rights? You know? So there we go. At what point will the slave master's lackeys actually grow a pair and stand up and do the right thing and actually follow the law that was signed into law in 1950? Or will they just not bother? Just a question. So with all the coercion and all what they're saying, they're actually breaking the law. The government breaking the law, that would never happen, would it? You know, it's a bit like them repealing the Genocide Act, isn't it? Making genocide legal in 2019, just before the pandemic. I mean, who would have thought of that? Ooh, come on, really? It's how it is, isn't it? Just saying it how it is. Now, the government has been very sneaky as well, as they have been passing certain laws via HMRC, which is the tax, His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, HMRC, or Her Majesty. Either way, it's illegal, isn't it? Usury is illegal. Taxes are illegal. You should only pay tax during the time of war. Every year, Parliament votes and declares us in war so that they can continue taxing us. So every MP that you voted in is acting treasonously by voting to tax you deliberately. I'm pretty sure under parliamentary guidelines and everything else like that, if they actually had to do something that was honest and truthful, if they did so, that would be treason. Again, we're talking the treason word, aren't we? So yeah, so when you vote for your nice little puppet in Parliament, they vote every year to maintain your enslavement via the tax system. I'm sure you all knew that. So, we really are going for it today, aren't we? But as I said at the beginning, it's bullshit. And when you see it and when you can actually understand what's going on, and this is research for you, beautiful Femi, girls and guys, to look at. Do your research. Don't trust what I'm saying. Research it. Look up the European Commission on Human Rights. Look it up. Look at what your rights are. Everything I'm telling you is searchable and is available for you to search for. Please do. Don't take my word for it. Um, but the HMRC has now been given the ability to remove money from your account as they see fit, when they see fit. Your bank account, that is. So if you're self-employed and they believe that you owe tax money, they will go in and they will just remove your money from your account. Really? Now, I'm doing a show with Miten actually tonight. I'm recording this on the 29th, and I'm going to be doing a show with Miten. I'm and Platonic Planes and Money, and I'm not sure when we're going to drop that. When I'll drop it, I mean, Miten will probably drop it probably tomorrow, the 29th, 30th. This will go out for me, and then a few days later, I'll do the Money one. But I can assure you in the money one, I'm going to be covering this in great detail and explaining exactly how the money works and how you've been screwed over by the banks. There's no pleasant way of putting it, is there, you know? You don't own the money in the bank. Your money is not your money in the bank. You're an unsecured creditor. You don't own anything inside the bank. The bank owns it. And the banks run the government. So the banks are in cahoots with the government. So, the private corporation, the UK government. So one corporation to another corporation using you as the fodder, the loosh to feed on. Your loosh just happens to be cash in this case, or the perception of cash. So there we go. But also HMRC have now put in rules, or the government is, for company directors, people who own businesses, small business. And if you earn over a certain amount, you have to have a digital ID or have a digital profile within the HMRC to pay your tax. And if you don't, I can imagine they'll ban you or bar you from owning a company. And then they'll fine you, which means they just go straight into your bank account and steal all your money. Sounds an awful lot like the Chinese credit system, doesn't it? We've all seen it when the Chinese people cross the road, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but when the Chinese people cross the road when they shouldn't, their face pops up and immediately the money's taken out their account for the fine. Just there, bang, done. You think you're free? Really? Come on. Smell the roses. You know, you don't own anything. You never have. You might do in the future. But within the system, you don't own anything. So if you earn, your company earns more, or you earn more than a certain amount of money, you're going to have to do everything through the digital stuff. Now, at the moment, they've got a ceiling that anything below £20,000 earned in a year, you don't have to. But they've realised that they're oh my God, they've screwed up because you don't have to. So they're now doing it where they're trying to retrospectively change the law on that one, or their little act and statute, to force everybody who earns less than that to comply with this stupid system. So the digital ID is already implemented in many respects within the government system, within the tax, and they have enabled them to steal your money directly out of your account, and you have there's no complaints. There's no one to go to. They can screw up. Take, I mean, you think about it. They take the money out your account. You can't pay your mortgage or you can't pay your rent because they've taken all your money out, and then you're made homeless. It's not fear porn. It's just this part of the punishment system that they're going to put in, isn't it? Or the perception of the punishment system. Isn't that breaking your human rights? It's your right to a family. So the fact that they are doing something to remove money out of your account, which I would have said was illegal in the first place, means they've removed your right to a family in life and housing, which is part of your ECHR rights. You see? But the government loves you. They can look after you. They've got your best interests at heart. Take a few more of these. So, when we start looking into digital ID and where it comes from, it's very interesting because it leads us to a bank, believe it or not. So all the digital ID and all this HMRC stuff, all leads to one place. I mean, obviously there's offshoots of it, but there's a driver. There's always a driver, you know. And that driver is the Bank of International Settlement, the BIS. And the BIS, as I've spoken before, and the money stuff that I've covered before, that's why the money stuff is so important. I know many of you don't watch it, but understanding how the monetary system works and controls every aspect of your life is actually very freeing. Okay. And they make it overly complex. I try and make it less complex on my talks. But the Bank of International Settlements, the BIS, is the central bank of the central banks. So the Bank of International Settlement was started in 1930 from memory, and it was for war reparations, as in to remove money from Germany for daring to do whatever they did for World War after World War One in the 1930s. They were punished for it. But actually, really, what they were punished for in 1930 was the fact that they arrested one of the Rothschilds and froze his accounts on his banks and threw him out of the country, who happened to be Hitler's uncle. There we go. So the BIS, Bank of International Settlement at Basel, every single central bank in the world reports to the BIS. Remember, the Bank of England is not a private bank, and we control it and everything else like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, but they report to another bank that's more powerful than our own government. Okay. Now the BIS. I mean, here we go. Tangent time. Mark Carney. We talked about Canada in my chat. Go and look at my Mark Carney video. Mark Carney was the governor of the BIS before he sidestepped over to become the governor of the Bank of England. That's an interesting sidestep, isn't it? Was that a demotion, promotion, control mechanism? Make sure that the UK was following the requirements of those in charge, the Khazarian mafia, the tiny hats? You tell me. So there's only one group of people behind all of this, by the way, as well. They wear small hats and they wail at a wall. Now, the BIS is very interesting organisation. And there's a video, oh, probably a year ago, 6 months, I don't know, time flies, that had the one of the top guys of the BIS. And this guy was, I don't know, 5'10" tall and 6 foot wide, you know, the sort. And he uh, he was stating that digital IDs were going to be coming in, and all bank accounts would be controlled, etc., etc., etc. And they were pushing for this. The BIS was pushing for this. And what do we get a year later? We then get the government's, you know, I know it's been in the pipeline for a long time, but but the BIS gave the order, and then it was done. I mean, it could have even been 2 years ago. I can't remember now. 18 months. But yeah, the order was given. The fat man sung, and now we're in it. So what's interesting about the central banks is the central bankers, the head of the central banks, the head of whoever it is in charge of us, the Federal Reserve, Powell, and all the rest of them. Is it Bailey in charge of us, something like that? Um, they actually are given passports by the BIS, which gives them diplomatic immunity, and they travel every 2 months to and from Basel under diplomatic immunity to and from the bank. to discuss the next stage of the enslavement of us all via the banking system. So there we go. Look that one up. Now, I'm going to get into a bit of the politics bits now, you know, and we're talking about the bait and switch. So now, I don't think Starmer has got it in him to get this through over the line. I think the current Labour Party is so unpopular with the public. And we're seeing this. There's a petition for Parliament. That there's a digital petition, digital, of course, would be electronic petition, and I think in maybe a week or 4 or 5 days, whatever it is, I don't know, of it starting, there's been 2.4 million signatures, and it's probably about 2.5 million by the time we go on to against the digital ID. Now, we have a couple of players in the game. Okay, so we have the current government, who's very unpopular. The previous government, very unpopular, Tories. And then we have a new kid in the block. And that happens to be Farage. Tony Blair's mate, by the way. Like that. During the pandemic, Farage was doing speeches praising Tony and all the stuff he should be doing and following Tony's lead and advice over the pandemic. If that ain't a red flag, I don't know what is. Farage was responsible and I don't think they ever expect him to succeed, which is why they put him in the position of getting the UK out of the EU and Brexit. But obviously, never happened because we were never allowed to leave, and we were just punished and fined lots of money. And when Keir Starmer signed us back into the European Union just recently, I'm trying to hear what Farage said. Oh, that's right, it's nothing at all. It's interesting that I think the party has 7 seats in Parliament. Tiny, tiny little party, really. A lot of support, but tiny party. Why was Farage and Tice, his sidekick or the money man, having meetings with the Bank of England governor this week, talking about financial implications and what the Bank of England should and shouldn't be doing? I don't think a party with 7 seats in Parliament has ever gone to the Bank of England, certainly not discussed monetary policy with the Bank of England and where they should be going in the future. I thought that was the role of government. Of course, that ain't a red flag either. Now, whatever Farage says, Farage is the company man. He's the bait and switch. So when and if Starmer fails to get this over the line, the government will collapse. A new election will happen, and everybody go, Farage is the saviour, Farage is the saviour. He'll get voted in, and the first thing he'll do is bring in exactly what the previous government wanted because he's got the same masters. Simple as that. Simple as that. And if the public kick off, then we get Tony Blair's contingency law coming in, which is a military lockdown and all the human rights being stomped on, and then they can enforce digital ID. Remind me, what's the ECHR for again? Our human rights. Okay. Now, There's one way to get around all of this. And again, I'm going to be covering this in our monetary one. That's to own physical assets. Because remember, you don't own anything in the bank. You've got no, you know, if a third party can go into your bank and clear it out legally, was that money ever yours? You're an unsecured creditor in the bank. If the bank collapses, they'll steal your money because they've got bail-ins now and leave you penniless. And then, if you're lucky, they might give you some bank shares that are worthless because no one wants to buy them for your money. Aren't you lucky? Well done. Brave new world, eh? And you're going to say to me, oh, Gary, that would never happen. That would never happen. Well, it just has in Vietnam. In Vietnam, they literally overnight demanded the banking system digital IDs to access your bank accounts. 85 million, 85 million bank accounts were frozen. And until the people comply with the digital ID system in Vietnam, they will not be able to access their bank accounts. So, in effect, the banks and the government have stolen their money and they have no access to their money. Imagine you've just done a month's work, your wage has just been paid in, then they're demanding the digital ID or you can't have your money. That's the definition of slavery, isn't it? Working for nothing. Because that's slavery at the moment anyway, because when you work and your money gets paid into the bank, you're the unsecured creditor. You don't own the money in the bank. So who do you just work for the month? Did you work for the bank, the government, or yourself? Debt slavery. So yeah, 85 million bank accounts were frozen in Vietnam overnight. So this is another solution for you. Physical assets like gold and silver. You physically hold real money. The only real money in this realm is gold and silver. That's why the British pound is called sterling. The pound sterling, silver. Silver has been money for 3,000 years. It's only in recent years it hasn't been. In 1920, I think it was, they removed silver from the coinage. But up until 1920 or 1918, all the small little silver coins, or all the coins that look silver coloured, were silver. Real money. Brought stuff with real money then. If you remove your money from the bank while you still can and purchase gold and silver from reputable bullion dealers like Atkinson's, or if you're in America, Miles Franklin, there's many of them about. You are removing the ability of the banking system and the government to control your assets. Gold and silver are currently doing that. Some places currently today, as I speak, one single silver coin, because you pay VAT on it as well, but in the UK, one silver coin retail is £52 and I think it was something like 26 pence. £52 for one silver coin. Okay. 3 or 4 years ago, that same silver coin was £22, including the VAT, or £24, including the VAT. And gold's done a similar thing. All the central banks around the world are buying gold hand over fist, very much like China's about to bring in a gold-backed currency, part of the BRICS. And again, this is all stuff I'm going to go into in the financial stuff. But this is the solution. A run on the banks will take the banks out. The banks control the government. The system collapses. We're near the end game anyway. We're about to see a collapse. But they want to cause more misery. And again, if you think about this, right, monetary wise, to bring in a digital ID and restrict you from your bank account and everything else, isn't that just theft of your money? I know you don't own the money, but isn't that just theft of your access to your what you've worked for? Just like Vietnam, system's about to implode. Don't you think they're going to try and steal as much as they can from everybody? And isn't it better to then suddenly stop people from actually accessing their bank accounts so that when the banks go down, that they've got the maximum amount of money to bail themselves out and pay themselves first? The digital ID is all about money, and money is the control system. But there are in place systems like the European Human Rights Bill, Commission Human Rights Bill, the European Commission Human Rights Bill, that protects us. That's if the legal system is actually going to protect us. They haven't ever since, when's the last time they worked for us or protected us? Because when the High Court judge is compromised via his personal life and the video is going to come out or he's going to have to resign if he does the right thing, do you think he's really going to do the right thing? I don't think so. Old boys club, innit? Network. Cynical, aren't I? But it's true. So have I got any fear over the digital idea? No, I haven't. No. Do I think it's going to come in? No, I don't. I mean, yes, I mean, it might come in, but am I going to be forced to do it? No. Will I be having any, or do I have any money in the bank? No, I ain't got any money in the bank anyway. If I did, I wouldn't. I'd be removing it very quickly and I'd be purchasing gold and silver delivered to the house. You then become your own bank. You're then in control of your own money. And the only real money is gold and silver. And you hold it physically. No counterparty person. No one can come. I mean, if they want to try and come around and take it from your house, really? Do you think that's going to happen? I don't. Black market's a wonderful thing. During the war, the black market ran the United Kingdom. Ration books and what you got from them were terrible. But what did people do? Worked on the black market. Cash. Cash is devaluing overnight rapidly at the moment. That's why gold and silver is going up in value. It's not really gone up in value, but it's just because of the debasement of the fiat currency that's causing that. So, digital ID, the digital prison. We're already in a prison. It's just another step that they're trying to make and bring in. Politicians, there's no one going to come and save you politically wise. The bait and switch, it's all there. Non-compliance is the key. And at a point in which people stand up and say no is the point in which the government collapses. Simple as that. Draw your money out of the banks will collapse. Banks will be on their knees. And you know who will hold the money? You will. The banks won't hold jack shit. They've got nothing. They hold fiat currency, which is nothing. You hold physical gold and silver, you're more powerful than the bank. And that's true. Your human rights charter should protect us from all this. And it's not like we're going to vote it in. It's not like we're going to be given a vote on this. It's going to be voted in via Parliament, via the whip. What does the whip mean? It means that they're part of a controlled mechanism that has stuff, leverage over them. They've all accepted money. I'd say all, the majority have accepted money from lobbyists, kickbacks, gifts. Some of them should have been in prison a long time ago and they're out of prison and they never got prosecuted for what they did. And the whip, who controls the whip, controls the party, knows this. And all he's got to do is walk up to that person, put his arm around their shoulder and say, you don't vote this way. We're going to destroy your career and we're going to destroy you. The clean ones in Parliament, many of them are no longer in Parliament. Andrew Bridgen is one of these examples. Look up Andrew Bridgen. Look what they've done. He's got a very interesting Telegram group channel. He was a decent, honest bloke, stood up for the rights of the people. They destroyed him, took him out of Parliament. The voting of him, you know, unbelievable what they did to him. This is the time to stand up. This is the time. You can either lay down and take it, or you can stand up. Start looking at your rights. Start thinking about taking your money out of the banks, because that really will hurt them. Because HMRC can't take jack shit out of a bank when there's nothing in it. They can't make you pay taxes. You can bury gold and silver wherever you want, put it wherever you want, store it wherever you want, where you know where it is. It's in your hand. You control it. Nothing they can do about it. You've broken the system. So please don't have fear about this. Observe it. You know, mandatory. We know what mandatory means. We've been down this road before. It's probably more likely that this system is the way it is at the moment to wake up the sleepers, the general public, to rise them and make them really question what's going on. Because remember, the splits here, the time splits here now. I believe we experienced that last week, which is why we all felt so crazy and so out of it. Last week or so, we've really been, things are much better today, this week. You need to wake people up to give them the opportunity to exit this holography from the 3D to the 5D. This is what digital ID is all about. The wake up call. But also, it's the opportunity for those that have got a little bit of mileage under the belt on all of this to start actually doing something of the non-compliance and taking control of your finances and your life and screwing the system. Because I tell you, when the system collapses, those with gold and silver will be very, very, very well off and a very, very good position compared to the majority. And with that, have no fear, love, light, and blessings, everybody. And I shall catch up with you very soon. Bye bye.